Hey everybody, it's Shaman Sister Sin, and you're listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. Today I wanted to talk to you about how to tell the difference between a narcissist and someone who's just a jerk. There is a larger spotlight on narcissism just recently, and as we talked about in the episode of this show entitled What is Not a Narcissist, there is a real danger of the misapplication of this label. Not all mean people are narcissists. Not all selfish people are narcissists. Narcissism is a pattern of thinking. It's a mental state. In its more extreme and pathological form, it is a very serious and complex personality disorder, and slapping this label on people who are not pathologically narcissistic is not only wrong, it's dangerous. It waters down the real meaning of the word, and it also saddles people with something that they don't deserve. Lots of people use the word narcissist now, and we're finding more and more that it's being used inappropriately. It's being applied to everyone from cheating spouses to kids who take selfies on the internet. Sure, some of these people can be narcissists and probably are, statistically speaking, but they are certainly not all narcissists. Labeling a behavior as evidence of a disease or a disorder is very dangerous. There's more to it than that, and context matters a lot. This is one of the reasons it can be so hard to prove you're a victim of narcissistic abuse, for example. Your behavior toward the narcissist as a result of being terrorized, abused, gaslighted, manipulated, tricked, put in no-win situations, and lied to for so long could come across as abusive to people who don't understand the situation. That's one of the dangers of pathologizing behavior instead of understanding the entire situation. For example, let's say there's a person who cheats on their spouse constantly. Is this person a narcissist or not? See, that's a trick question because we can't answer the question just based on that. Many narcissists cheat. Many people cheat who aren't narcissists. We would have to understand this person's mindset and why they cheat, along with many other things, before we could make that call. Too many times the call is made without enough information. People often ask me if their mother or husband or sister or cousin is a narcissist, and they give me examples and they tell me stories, and even still, I cannot answer that question. I could guess, but that's all it would be. I can't make that call because I don't have enough information. We should be very careful not to throw that word around too freely or to label people without all the facts. Plenty of, quote, normal people do bad things to each other. It happens all the time. It's like one of those word problems from grade school. Virtually all narcissists are jerks, but not all jerks are narcissists. So how can you tell? Probably the biggest tell or red flag would be that when you're dealing with a true narcissist, you usually get a pretty strong sense that something is legitimately wrong with this person. It may happen quickly after meeting them, or it might take a little while, but it almost always happens. Sometimes it's just a feeling, sometimes it's something they've done or said, but who and what they really are always comes through. The truth is that when you're dealing with a true narcissist, the real deal, you'll know it. Because regular people just don't act like that. They don't do the things that narcissists do. They don't say the things that narcissists say. Narcissists can act like normal people for a time, and some of them are pretty good at it. If your contact with them is limited or superficial, you may never notice. However, if you spend any amount of real time with this person, how they really are will become noticeable. People who are just jerks are different. People who are mean or rude or untrustworthy still act and seem like regular people. They're just mean, rude, and untrustworthy. They have real feelings. They're capable of caring about other people. They may not care about you specifically or whoever they're being a jerk to, but they are capable of caring about others in general. They love their pets or their children or their friends and their family. Narcissists are not capable of these things. They care about themselves, and that's it. Not only do they only care about themselves, they can only really see themselves. They are unable to separate the internal self from the external world, and because of this, they feel as though the world revolves around them the same way that kids do. This is not true of non-narcissistic people, whether they're mean or not. Another big red flag is that even though some non-narcissistic people are jerks, most of them usually have a limit or a line that they won't cross. They'll only be so rude or so mean. Narcissists have no line. There is nothing too awful for them to do or say. There's no limit to how far they will go to hurt someone or get back at them. The things they say to people are unbelievable. Unbelievably cruel and hateful. Things that most people wouldn't even say to someone they absolutely despise. They also have a tendency to cut off their noses to spite their faces. That means they'll do something to get back at or hurt another person even if it hurts them worse to do it. People who are just jerks usually don't go that far. You don't see the self-sabotage and reckless risks to themselves that you see in narcissistic people. One of the other big red flags is that you can reason with a person who's just a jerk. You can communicate with them. You can get through to them. They can understand what you're saying to them. They might argue or disagree, but you can actually have a dialogue. They aren't going to believe you're saying something different than what you're actually saying. When you have an argument with a jerk, they're probably not going to accuse you of crazy things or claim you're doing and saying things when these things have not happened. They will respond to what you're actually saying, not what their feelings tell them you meant. They're not going to come across as paranoid and delusional. They're not going to get upset over things that are imaginary. You can't communicate with a narcissist, especially when they're upset. People who are just jerks are also usually pretty grounded in reality, or grounded as anyone ever is. Narcissists are not, and it usually becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly. They can come across as grandiose or even delusional to the people around them. Jerks also usually don't have huge reservoirs of self-hatred and feelings of victimization the way that narcissists do. They're basically normal people who are just not very nice. There are plenty of these around, and there's no need to pathologize their behavior by saying it's part of a disorder. Lots of people have rotten personalities. It's just how they are. It doesn't mean they're a narcissist or anything else. When we pathologize behavior, there is a risk of creating the belief that everyone who does not behave in a prescribed manner or follow these unwritten rules is abnormal or disordered or sick. This is not the case, and it's a dangerous precedent to set because it ignores the huge spectrum of human behavior. It results in overdiagnosis, overmedication, misdiagnosis, stigma, and many other problems. We need to realize that some people are just rude. Some people are just mean-spirited. Some people are cheaters, they're thieves, they're jerks, they're liars, and there's nothing really wrong with them. That's just how they are. We don't want to get caught up in the idea that unless everyone's behavior is perfect and perfectly the same, that there's something wrong with everyone who doesn't follow that. I hope this clears a few things up for you. As always, I look forward to your comments, questions, and suggestions, so please keep those coming. You've been listening to the Meditations and More podcast brought to you by littleshaman.org. That's me, the Little Shaman. May the Great Spirit bless you and have a wonderful day.